Welcome to the So Social Radio Show. I'm your host, Richard Martin, along with my amazing co-host,
Cheri Martin, and we are the WCN Interactive Team, business growth, marketing, and social media strategists, helping you to
dream it, plan it, build it, and most importantly, successfully do it.
For that growth, prosperity, and success. And as you know, each Wednesday at 12 noon on talknetworkradio.com, we are here sharing tips and techniques to grow you and your business, plus demystify social media and marketing for you so you can have more fun.
And my favorite, more profits.
Yes. We love those profits. And we also want to make sure all of our listeners know that they can always ask questions of us and our experts here on the So Social Radio Show by coming over to facebook.com/So Social Radio Show. And there's a top pin post there. It has a little information about our topic today, as well as information about our amazing guests who we have here, right here in the studio. Going to give a shout out here real quick before we do an official introduction, but it is Mr. Rob Palumbo, owner of the Graphic Design Printing. So welcome.
Hey guys, thank you for inviting me to your show. I really appreciate being here.
We're excited to have you here because, well, like I said, we'll let everyone know a little bit more about Rob and how we have developed an awesome relationship over the years, and all the amazing things he's done for us as far as our printing over the years too.
Absolutely, does a great job.
But first, I want to do a shout out for our partners and give a little other information here.
Oh, I would love to do that. Toastmasters, a world leader in communications and leadership development. Find out how you can improve your speaking and leadership skills. Visit toastmastersd84.org.
And also Constant Contact, an award-winning company empowering small businesses and nonprofits to grow and succeed through email marketing. You can be a marketer with one toolkit, one login, and get an actual 60-day free trial with Constant Contact if you go to bit.ly/WCN free CTCT. That's bit.ly/WCNFREECTCT, and you can get started growing that marketing list so that you can get more business.
Absolutely. Nothing converts better than email. And Everything Brevard, a Brevard County, Florida community website which keeps you up to date on everything that's happening in Brevard County, Florida. Get your business listed on everythingbrevard.com.
And they actually just put out their April 2017 magazine, everythingbrevard.com magazine, and it is gorgeous. It is a print magazine. I think they do have an online publication as well. But at that point, I also want to make mention about the magazine that Mediafish Productions here, who is the helps run our radio show. I mean, Jeff Heiser, who is part of Mediafish Productions, as well as Talk Network Radio. They have started a new magazine at the beginning of this year. It's called Connect 10. And we have had the pleasure of participating and adding some articles in that. So you can actually go to talknetworkradio.com, click on Connect 10, and you'll be able to see all 4 issues that have been put out this year. The recent issue, of course, is the April 2017. And I just have to tell you to go to page 4 and 5 and read our article about social media obsession, right? So that did launch here this week, and we're excited to be a part of that. So, and I know that Jeff's looking for some writers, so definitely connect with Jeff if you'd like to participate in writing for that magazine too.
It's fun. It's fun. You know, I like to speak. My writing's not my best skill ever, but it is fun.
Well, should we go ahead and get...
Let's do it.
The introduction of, drum roll here, Mr. Rob Palumbo. Yes, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what, we, as I said, Rob is the owner of Design Graphics Printing, and he's been the owner since 2004, and I believe that's when you moved down here from New York. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so he was sharing a little bit about some of his New York experiences. New York. So he'll be sharing a lot more of that here with our audience today. I'm sure we'll get the conversation rolling here. But he had shared that he's been working in the advertising environment his whole life.
Yep.
Because that was what your father did, right?
Yep.
So that is so cool. So he's definitely experienced. And we're trying to remember how long it's been since we've known you. And I thought it was longer than since 2004, but that's when you moved here.
That's when I moved here.
Probably when
and
we
I think
first
I
met
joined. We met through BNI, and I joined that I think in sometime in 2005.
Yep, that's what we thought too, because we had moved from our home office. That was when we had we're expanding our web design agency, and we had moved from our home office into an office space. And I think one of the first things we had you print, we did some styrofoam boards of all the different websites that we had.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
That's
that?
right. Yep. I think I still have the artwork on that.
I still have all of them. It was like some of our first websites. And I remember that was our first job that we brought to you, and been doing our business cards and some other printing. You put together our LinkedIn guide, our Facebook guide, and all those fun stuff. So definitely we can highly recommend you. And
thank you.
Just today, when I was putting information out about our show, I was so excited to see so many people that I'm associated with that just rave about you too. So
it's a good feeling to see that. It really, it's those type of things make you feel good about what you're doing. And in the community, as a business owner, it's just great to see that. It makes your heart feel good,
Oh yeah, it's a cherry on top of the icing. On top
exactly,
of the cake,
that's it.
Really great. Yeah,
it is great. It is great, and I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate my clients. My clients are really good to me, and every job I put out there, I always feel like I'm only as good as my last job that I put out. So I always try to keep striving for, my best foot forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you just moved locations too, from being in one spot for a lot of years. About a year ago that you moved.
It's coming up on a year. May 6th is when we May 6th of 2016 is when we moved, and that went by fast. That's I don't know. Maybe next time we'll just get a tooth pulled or something. It'd probably be easier. No, you know what? The rent was just going in the wrong direction, and where I was, the way they were. Running the place was going in the wrong direction, and I wanted to stay there. I liked where I was, but sometimes their business model and my business model just didn't line up. And
exactly,
actually, I'm happier in the spot that I am now. It's a really nice spot.
It is nice. Very nice.
It's different. I put that old. You've been in that old Heidelberg letterpress. I put that right in the front window.
Yes.
It's amazing how many people stop just to come in and look at that. And then when the machine's running, when we're using the machine, people are in the front window. You could see on the window after you'll close down the shop for the night. Then you'll come in the morning, the light's shining in, and you see all these hand marks on the window. Kind of trying to look at the Heidelberg letterpress. It's funny as hell. But that's a goal of mine. One day I'd love to. Make more room in the shop, and put in like old antique presses, a couple more pieces, and actually running presses, and it's just, it's like, quasi print shop, quasi museum,
So a good stop for all those Girl Scout troops and Boy Scout troops.
Yeah, exactly. It's
that is cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know when you sent the picture over with you and you had the Heidelberg press there, and it's like, wow, that was such a cool picture. And it didn't show up as well as I wanted to on the image I created, but I do have the larger image of you on our website with it, so it's cool.
Yeah, back in the days when those things were all used, unfortunately, that generation's almost gone.
And believe it or not, it's coming back.
Is it coming back?
It is coming back. There are shops that only have Heidelberg letterpress. It's really more focused on specialty, like they're doing business cards and invitations on them. The business cards are coming back. They're really expensive, and I haven't gotten into that part yet. I don't know when I will. But what they're doing is they're using a very thick 38-point stock, which is like, if you take the average business card that you see nowadays that has a glossy look to it, that's about 14 to 16 point. Well, more than double that thickness. And what happens, what these Heidelberg letterpresses do when they do these traditional metal dies, typeset the dies, when it hits the paper, it almost indents the paper. It's not a true emboss where you feel it on the back end, but it gives an indent, it puts a dent into the business card with the ink color, and it gives it that old world traditional feeling.
Oh, wow.
And that's making a comeback. I think, if I'm not sure, there's a shop in Orlando now that's all they do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to date me, but when I was in high school, I took I was in shop
Yeah.
With all these, I think I got it because there was a bunch of guys in there.
What do you mean you think?
Well, where are we going with this show?
we got to keep it.
Is that a black book in your pocket?
But what I remember is the trays when we were setting up the printing presses for like our school newspaper,
Yep.
and of course we had the dark room too.
Yep.
We won't even go there.
The dark room with the interlock on it.
But I remember the trays, and we had to set up these little square
Yep.
print, with the letters on it,
Yep.
and dip them in the ink. It was that's old. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a long time
took
ago.
it in the late 60s, early 70s.
Well, I don't know about that long ago, but you'll be surprised
That's
how
what
many
we did.
people walk into my shop saying, "I ran this in school." And it's just,
Wow.
even for like the retired generation, for these guys to come in and just be so happy to see this machine, it brings back a piece of their past that they never ever thought they'd see again. And it just in that alone, it's like, wow, that's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
So with all these changes, I hear from, because we do a lot of social media and online marketing, and we hear so many people wondering, is really print still surviving? I mean, how is it still surviving?
It's still surviving because I think people jump on board with new technology all the time. It's the latest and greatest thing, and then it kind of washes out a little bit, and then you realize it's kind of hard to walk into a business, put your phone on the table, and say, "Oh, here's who I am." Sometimes having that piece of paper in hand, whether it's a business card, a handout card, a mailing piece, whatever, it's a softer introduction than kind of just walking in and start announcing who you are, or you got something you can leave behind with them, a soft break into their own private home by mailing them a piece of mail,
Exactly.
and I mean, you can't. What's going on the internet is powerful advertising, a great way to market your business, but people are realizing that. If they want to eke out every aspect of possibly grabbing on to as much business as they can or getting out there, promoting themselves as much as they can, they're realizing that they need to mail. I mean, a couple of years ago, coupons were dead.
Well,
And now, they're never coming back again.
I've noticed the direct mail pieces that are coming through now are very intentional, very specific. They're using them very effectively.
They are.
I know one of my realtor clients, he actually, to make sure his doesn't just not get put in that recycle bin when someone walks in, he puts a recipe on it.
Yep.
On the back side. I mean, who doesn't keep recipes around?
Exactly.
So they're thinking more strategically in how this direct mail piece can be more effective for them and reach more people. And then if they were just trying to reach them online sometimes.
Exactly.
So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, ultimately it's got to be a combination of a little bit of everything. On that, you've got to have print, but you got to have email.
Exactly.
You got print and you email. You also have to have something a little bit more visual. So
yes.
To me, the effectiveness is more of a conglomeration of all media right now, mainly because of the internet.
Exactly.
On that
Exactly.
side. The great thing about the internet is, you can put your contact forms and all that up on there. You can offer them a bribe. If you fill out my stuff, hit the submit button.
Exactly.
You'll get a special report, on that. But by the same token, when you go to impress, it's what shows up in their physical mailbox.
Exactly.
Not their email.
Or that business card that has that feel to it. Some people, they have that new card out that it's called a silk laminated business card, and it feels like silk in your hand almost. And people are going nuts over that. I mean, and it's just, it's that emotional connection. You put it in their hand and they're not looking at the card, they're feeling the card, and it's stimulating their brain, saying, what am I feeling here?
Yeah, the whole object of any marketing, and this in particular, is you want to be remembered the next morning, when they get up and they go to business.
Exactly.
So I know myself with printing, you're absolutely right, as far as we try to do so much online, but when we're working with clients and focusing on their strategy, we always let them know that there's a number of components to their marketing, and they have to really think through on how each of those pieces can effectively grow their business. And we always bring in your marketing material, and this needs to be print material. So a lot of people are trying to think, okay, well, I have these free social media platforms. I'm now going to go online and order my print material. What say you on that? I mean,
that's a tough market for printers.
Yeah.
That's a really uphill battle for every brick and mortar print operation. All I can say to that is, you got to do what you got to do for your business to save money and be profitable. You have your responsibility to your business first. But you got to also think that when you go online and you upload that file, who checked it with you? Who, you got all your people inside your box in your world looking at it saying, this looks great, send it out. But when you take it to a professional, like a brick and mortar operation, and you walk in with that file, whether it's on your phone, on your flash drive, you print it out, or you ask us to print it out, we could look at that file and say, hey, it's a great design you did here, but I see a problem. Your font's too small. It's hard to read. It looks great on the screen when it's blown up on a 21-inch monitor, but when you're reducing it down to a 3.5-inch business card on the width, it's too small. You're not going to be able to read it. Or it's white type on a black background. Well, the black's going to bleed when it hits the paper, and it's going to like flush out your type. It's going to make it disappear almost. So there's a lot of basically what I'm trying to say is, bring it to a professional to take a look at and see what he says about it. Go outside your box and bring it to someone who knows printing.
I totally agree with that, because I know, trying to think, there a few years ago when we were just starting our business, I think when Vistaprint was just start coming out, we actually ordered our first set of business cards.
Yep.
And it was like, that was our image, and that was an image I did not want to share out with anybody. One, the quality of the paper.
Yes.
It was terrible. I now know when I pick up my business cards from you, I'm very pleased. And also, I remember how many emails went back and forth from the person I was working with there at your shop, and I was bringing some things to his attention. He was bringing some things to my attention. And he was very patient and working with me. I would not have gotten that type of service had I gone to an online company. And I don't mean to just, make a mention of the Vistaprint, because they've done well for some people too. So, but there's a lot of different companies out there online. But when you have someone local like you that's going to take the time and really share your expertise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I tell you, there's a lot of dynamics involved. It's paper stock. If you know what you're doing, you got a shot of going online and getting some pretty decent cards printed out. I can't argue that. The problem is there's not enough information out there for you to understand, why should I choose an 80-pound stock versus a 100-pound stock versus a 14 versus a 16-point stock? Why should I understand? I'll give a perfect example here. A lot of people like those wet, glossy-looking business cards. So they'll set up the art online and they'll have it printed. Now the problem is some of these people just want basic information and they order a white card with type and an image on it. Well, white's a very sterile color, okay? And when you put a UV gloss on white, the UV gloss makes the color the paper stock turn a little yellow, looks a little dirty. If it was my recommendation, do not UV gloss a white business card, because it kind of cheapens up the look of it. You want to go with a natural finish to it, or a semi-gloss or an uncoated stock. But, these are all things you have to look at the artwork and make the judgment call on it when you see the artwork. And that's the experience a lot of people don't have out there.
And that's why they need to have a printer like you, and why we do. And like I said, I was just so tickled.
You walk in and say, "Here, Rob, handle it. This is what you do it."
Well, and you keep our artwork on hand. And well, let's just take our logo for So Social Radio Show. We actually went through Fiverr and had someone just kind of get some ideas. But that wasn't where we stopped. We brought it to you, and you punched it. We get the compliments on it now because of what your team has done to punch up our social radio show logo. So
we just, we always, again, that's just putting our best foot forward is the best way I can explain it. When I see something and you like, if you kick it back to us, we want more punch to it. I have a graphic designer on staff. I always do. I always believe you need a graphic designer on staff. And, between me and him kicking back the ideas and trying to bring it to the next level, it's kind of how we operate at my shop. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you're getting great compliments on it. The logo looks awesome. It looked great before I got it, and looks even better now that we just tweaked it a little bit.
No, you tweaked it perfect, because it had that. There was something missing when I looked at it. I told Richard I liked the start, but it wasn't complete, so I said, we know where we're going.
Yeah, and we got like, I think I ordered from 5 when I was up there on Fiverr. I ordered 5 different graphics people just to see. I didn't want it from one. Yeah, I wanted to see what variances were, and we kind of like this one. And like you said, handed it over to you, and you made it magnificent. Yeah, that's from just a flat piece of graphic.
And here's the thing: if you in that job we did for you, we didn't do any print at all. I mean, and that's where one thing I want to bring up. That's where print shops need to head into. You don't necessarily have to do the print work. We could do the design work. And if you want to upload it somewhere, or you have another printer you're working with, but you want to use my shop to lay out or build or design, we'll be more than happy to do that. We can't be picky on what we choose and pick and everything. It's a different environment now, especially with online printing. And the stronger the more relationships we make, and the more services we offer, or the more helpful we are as a company, I believe just you're going to get more business naturally.
Oh, no, definitely.
It makes absolute sense to me, across that whole spectrum, because it is about whether you're going to be remembered. Yeah. Sometime in the future when people want your services and they're looking for somebody. Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether it's print, social media, radio, TV, or anything else.
And that's comes down to how I compete with online services. It comes down to customer service.
I was just saying, you hit the nail on the head with that, because it's relationship marketing, and we know that for ourselves. Even though we're on social media, we build a lot of relationships by picking up the phone or meeting them. We don't just do it all online.
Yep. You got to service the client.
Most definitely. And again, that's what helps you stand out. And as I said, I was so tickled, especially when I saw that our church uses you as the printer.
That was pretty cool.
It was cool. And so when I found that out, and like I said, a lot of other people that mentioned it too. But I know that you have one passion that you have, and you probably are in a club. You love Mustangs, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm a Mustang guy.
So is that by joining? I was going to ask you some of the ways that you grow your business. I mean, as far as printing, I know you've got a great reputation, but do you get involved in some different associations as well?
Well, I get involved. I'm a board member on the Melbourne Police Foundation.
Okay, that's right. Nadine, I think, made a comment on that today.
It's an awesome foundation, and basically, we kind of help raise money for the Melbourne Police Department. It's basically for if they have something that they need, but the government there's no grants out there for them, or they need to write a grant for it, or it's just we kind of fill in the gaps of one time we bought all the police officers these specialty flashlights, and it was a very big deal for them because it helps them. It's a safety thing for them. Right. It was just a wonderful gift that we give them. We just bought them ballistic helmets. Was another thing we just accomplished. We help buy parts and pieces for the mobile command center, and we're always striving to do work which helps the Melbourne police officer.
I love that.
They have our backs, and I feel we need to have their backs.
Great cause. I love that. Just thank you for doing that. Thank you. Because that's
thank you for having me here. I never did this before.
I know you're doing
I'm
awesome.
having fun.
You having fun? Yeah,
I'm having fun.
Good.
I'm loosening up a little bit.
Yeah, we knew you would. And I just want to remind our audience, if you have any questions at all, like I said, just you have to log on to Facebook, go to So Social Radio Show. You might want to give us a like while you're there as well. But there's a top pin post there. If you have any questions at all on questions you may have about printing or some different things, why don't you let our audience know where you're located? We talked about you moving. What's your address and how they can get a hold of you?
We're at 2330 North Wickham Road. It's it's close to the corner of Lake Washington and Wickham Road. The best landmark I could put down for you guys is Boston Market and Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Everybody smiles. It's like, I know where I'm going for lunch. But there's a little strip mall just a little south of Taco Bell. We actually share the same parking lot strip, and we're in that little strip mall there.
Yeah, when I first moved here, I lived over in that area. And I think there used to be a Baskin Robbins ice cream
There
shop.
was.
Now
There
changed.
They've
Yeah.
changed, yes. Who would have known in Florida? It's like
I know.
ice cream in Florida, and now I'm getting fat at lunchtime. I hope my wife's not listening.
Well, and you mentioned, we talked a lot about printing, but what other type of services do you offer?
Well, we do any general printing, business cards, forms, letterhead, envelopes, invoices, anything that you could think of that puts ink on paper, we're involved in it. Other services, I do have a large format printer so on site, so we can do banners and posters, and mounted prints, laminations. We started doing more pop-up displays, banner flags. Some services we do in-house, and some services we send out for. And every operation kind of runs the same.
Right.
And the reason I do it this reason, and I tell my clients if I'm sending the job out, if I'm doing it in-house, I want my client to know where their job and how the job is being handled. And sometimes, and most times actually, if we hit a certain price point on a production job, I'll turn around and say, listen, I could farm this job out and save you money. Because if I try to produce the entire job in-house, it's going to cost more for me to produce it in-house than for me to farm it out, and I can give you a lower price point. And that's just, limitations of the press size and how things work nowadays. So, we do a lot of things. Recently, I had a guy come in yesterday. He wants us to start selling T-shirts. He's another local business. He wants to be a T-shirt vendor for small businesses like mine, and he came in and he's going to set up a display this next week in my shop, and we're going to try to do a little T-shirt business together, help his business get off the ground, expand my business. So there's a lot of different things that we do print-wise in my shop. The best thing I could tell my client, anybody who's listening, is come in and see me, because if I don't do the service or I don't feel comfortable in providing the service because I have to farm it out, I'll recommend someone in town, or if I know someone that does it, I'll recommend them. Because I want you to feel like if you have any questions at all, you can come to me. I want to be that print guru.
You want to be a resource.
Yeah, I want to be a resource. I don't have to sell you the business every single time, but I want to be able to help you out and know that if I give you advice or I give you a recommendation, it's correct and it's good recommendation.
Well, we had a question come in. How about magazines? Do you do magazines?
Short run, yes. Generally speaking, you can do short run magazines I want to say up to the 1,000 price point. After that, we might have to farm it out.
Okay.
Anything higher than that, after you get after 10,000 of farming it out, my recommendation is you got to go to a web printer. It's a totally different source of printing, but there's a couple of ways we can run that job, and then depending if I can handle it in-house, if I have to send it out, or I have to recommend you to someone to get it done.
Well,
I've noticed on some of the proofs and stuff that you've sent over to us that the color on my monitor doesn't necessarily always match the end product, which I always like the end product. But
that's a loaded that's a loaded question. Every monitor is different. The way you have the screen color set to the temperature of the screen color. The other problem is, and I see a lot of this happen when clients bring me work. In the blues, especially, they have blue on their screen and it prints out purple, and they want to know how come I have blue but it keeps printing purple. And that's just our machines run in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's what all color printers pretty much run. There's a few select printers that don't, very rare, very few, but 99% of our printers at home in my shop are CMYK values. And the trick is to get that color to print blue is if you take 100% cyan, make your color 100% cyan, and make your magenta color 70% magenta, okay? And you zero out the rest of the colors, yellow and black, right? When you're making your color on the computer, your color will come out blue. You go over that 30 if you go over that 70-100 margin, like if you take the magenta and move it above 70%, where it's putting more magenta down on the paper, you're going to get purple. And it's something to do with the just the CMYK values that the profile is trying to make that blue look as blue as possible, but those colors you're mixing together, you can't make it happen. So you gotta. Maybe I didn't.
You got to know what you're doing.
You got to know what you're doing.
You got the, you're the expert. And I was going to say, even when you look at a monitor, and I know Richard was talking about the browser, but if you look on a website, those colors are not always the same, even though you may be using the same.
You always have to print a proof.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the look you want, you need to take it into a professional that can look at it on your phone, print out a sample proof to you and say, oh, this is why this is happening. Go back and do X, Y, Z to correct the problem, or it's not going to happen. Like, how come I don't get neon green? It's never going to happen.
I know when we were doing websites years ago, we would have clients that would send us stuff, and then they want to know it doesn't look the same, make it the same, and and the same with the font. And we try to explain to them, not everybody. You can use a crazy font, but if someone does not have that font on their computer browser, they're not going to be able to see it or read it that way. That's why it's using a default font that all computers have is much easier to read. And there's different fonts you use online versus print with that little, I share that when I'm doing email marketing, telling them, don't use like Times Roman in an email because of the little flags on. All these little different things.
You get all these little curly-Q fonts, and you probably know the answer. What is the average monitor's pixel density right now? I mean, I don't know. You don't either, but you can't. You get those really fine scripted fonts with the little loops and curly Qs
and it could fall apart fast, and especially in printing, that can fall apart fast too. I mean, especially when you get some really fine printing, and you get down to an 8-point font because you're trying to turn your business card into a billboard, and you're trying to jam in as much information on there. Sometimes the information gets lost.
I love how I think one of the cards we had you run once for us, and we did it against what you told us to do, and we changed it the next run, but it was like it was having it glossy on both sides, but we leave the back now where they can write on it, and we leave some space on it. I think we changed. Now we have the actual So Social Radio Show logo now on the back of our card with the exact address they can listen to us online. We started thinking more effectively in how our card could be help us market ourselves better, and our social media company and our social radio show.
To point out, that came around, and I'm not trying to bring the attention just 100% back to me, but that's just talking to a professional printer, and it inspires you to say, well, wait a second, that makes sense. Now you start applying it in other aspects of printing. Exactly. It just makes you that much smarter in your own business on how you put your information out there.
Very much so. Very much so. Another question, I'm not sure, RGB versus CYMK. What's the difference?
So RGB is red, green, and blue. Okay. That's CMYK is cyan, magenta, and yellow.
Okay.
So, in the printer world, we all print in CMYK values. That's RGB will give you, red, green, and blue, they'll use those, the profiles will mix those colors together to reproduce black. All right, so you'll get a very rich, very thick black. So if you print out, if you set up your file, and Word is typical of this, because they're an RGB, it runs in an RGB environment, and if you use a rich black, sometimes it'll come out gloppy on the printer. That's because it's trying to produce that. It's trying to mix that black, and it's just dropping too much ink, just trying to overcompensate for that. So that's what RGB does. In a print environment, you try to if you're going for online, you want pop and you want the colors to look great. You design for in RGB for online purposes. If you're designing for print, like you plan to print it out, you design in CMYK.
Okay, and then another question: how close to Pantone colors can you print with CYMK?
Oh, that's I could send you a picture of the color wheel chart, and it looks like that's something hard to describe over the radio. But
why don't you give your phone number, because this person's local here.
Okay.
So give your phone number, how they can get in touch with you, and definitely.
It's my number is 321-242-7766. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to come in and discuss it. But that's what happens is in the CMY, so there's if you look at all the color gamuts, the color spectrum, it's a round circle, and it's a weird oblong shape within that color circle. that CMYK could hint Pantone colors. Everything out of that shape, CMYK is going to try to force it to make it look that color. And what happens is you get your purple. You know, your blues go to purple because CMYK is trying to take those colors outside its gamut and push it to make it like, well, let's try to simulate it. And that's where you start hitting the brick walls. And that's an important thing when you're picking colors for your company, you know, Pantone colors for your company. It's cool to go through the swatch book and say, hey, I like this color, I like this color, I like this color. But you got to see what it looks like when it's CMYK. Because I've seen a lot of people come in with their artwork and they're like, why isn't this not looking right? Why is my printer can't print the color I want? You know, and I'll pull out the Pantone books and I'll say, hey, you got the wrong colors. You can't make that happen.
And it could also be the type of paper they're using.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh definitely. Well, not even thin. It's color of the. It's the way the ink
is. White or a gray or
actually whether it's coated or uncoated. We have We have multiple Pantone books, and we have a coated Pantone book and an uncoated Pantone book, and the colors might be right, but if I put the coated and uncoated books next to each other, people are blown away on how much. You know, this is run on the same press. This is run using the same exact ink, just two different pieces of paper. And one looks purpley and muddy, and one looks, you know, navy blue and vibrant. And it's just paper change.
Wow. So working with your father all these years, this is what you've done. Have you ever done anything else?
Believe it or not, it really kind of wasn't what I've done. My father started, well, that's a little bit of I'll try to make it short.
Okay.
My father started as... it took an engineering class in college, in Queensborough Community College. I mean, he was an Italian immigrant, came off the boat Italian.
Wow.
My mother was off the boat German. And he went to Queensborough Community College, got his engineering degree, went to the job placement at the city, and they gave him this job in an advertising agency. He said, go check this out. You know, this fits right up your alley. Turns out to be it was photostat. Basically what they do is he creates all the photostats. Back then, they used to make mechanicals. They used to cut and paste before it went to print. So he took the job on running the photostat department in gray advertising. And from there, he moved on to Ogilvy and Mata, O&M, as best I know. And then after that, my father landed a contract with Bates to be their in-house operation. We own the business. It used to be BSB and then Bates Worldwide for a while before, unfortunately, the internet, when the internet bubble popped, so did that business. But I've been just around advertising all my life. I mean, I used to go into work when I was little with him, and
wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's a bubble. It's an interesting bubble.
Well, it's just you've showcased today how much knowledge you have, and that you live and breathe this, and that you're very passionate about it.
Yeah,
you know,
I am.
I can tell that, and as long as I've known you and everything, we've never used any other printer here locally.
I like hearing that.
We don't do a lot in print, you know that, but when we do, and that you're the person that we come to. So definitely.
Yep, like the books when we take our LinkedIn books and Facebook guides and all those, where they have to look good because we're selling them.
Yes,
on that. You're the man.
It's one thing I pride myself in my shop. I run all Canon digital equipment. I have traditional presses, but I believe in having top quality machinery in my shop. I really don't mess around. I've been using Canon equipment since '89. I was actually when the first color Canon printer came out. I worked on that machine back in '89, the CLC1, and what a difference!
Oh, I'm sure. Just in the last few years, I would be surprised. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I tell you, I know you roll up your sleeves too. I've walked into your shop when you're underneath the machine sometimes.
Oh yeah, kicking it. Hopefully, my tech's not hearing this.
Well, sometimes you don't have time to wait for the factory rep to come out and evaluate something. You just got to go.
You just got to go with it. You got to figure it out and get it done. But I've been around these machines long enough. Sometimes I can get myself out of a jam most times.
Well, have you had any type of jobs come through your print shop that were rush jobs and as far as they were
You got
crazy,
any Tums available or stiff alcohol? Yeah.
So how do you handle those type of clients? Because I know you treat everybody very kindly.
I just had a situation where a marketing company and the online company's service they used blew their deadline, and the client had to have the project first thing in the morning. It was Thursday or Wednesday at 3:00, and then they called me up. I'm like, Rob, we need these booklets. I mean, and they weren't even average booklets. They were these miniature 4x4 booklets that get folded and stitched, so a little more labor intense, a little more custom. And they need if I remember correctly, I think they needed about 300 or 500 of them. And this was just a week ago, and 2 weeks ago. And they needed it like right now. They needed it by 8:00 that night, and it was literally we stopped the clock on the shop and we just threw ourselves into it, and we got it banged out. And their client was extremely happy.
And you probably have them now as your client.
Yeah.
That's another good thing. And that's what being a true business person, what it's all about. And to me, that is why you want to have a relationship with someone local that can service you that way and really take care of you and keep you calm. Because I know it's easy as a business person to get stressed if you're under a pressure, especially if they were a marketing company and they knew they had to get this stuff for a client.
Exactly.
So they knew that you took care of them. So what is one lesson you can share with other business owners that you've learned along the way as a business owner?
Wow, this, owning your own business and buying your own is like a college education. You can go to college and you can learn all you want in the books. But when you buy a business, that's, the first couple of years is a college education in itself. I'd have to say, I'll be honest with you. Everybody says the client's always right. And maybe this is bad for me to say. And they are. The client, you try to make the client happy all the time. If you have those clients that you can never make happy, or you can't just hit their mark, you can't hold on to them because they're going to drag down your business. And you're better off referring them to someone that maybe can service them better, because you don't want to leave your business with a black eye. That's the one thing you don't want to do. And if you just can't seem to if this one client, for whatever reason, you can't get it right for this one client, and it happens to everybody, sometimes, and either you say to them, saying, hey, listen, I'm not knocking it out of the park for you. How about I help you find another vendor? I'd be more than happy to turn over the artwork and share my artwork with them. If they're running into any problems, I'll be there to help you out. 9 out of 10 times they stay with me and they become my best clients. So you just can't be afraid of your clients, because certain ones can run you into the ground and other ones can raise you up.
Yeah. It's like being, a new business starting out, it's balancing need versus desperation.
Yes.
I've got to have it. And then you get up and then you take a job that you really knew you didn't have time to produce, and
that's part of it.
And then you really
you got to be careful with the yes. The word yes could get you in a lot of trouble. Can you get this done by this time? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. You say too many yeses and you're like, oh no.
I tell Richard, under promise and over deliver. Don't ever over promise and under deliver.
I feel like I'm always over promising and under.
No, but
it's crazy.
But you do get caught up in that because you want to please everybody. And I know as a business owner, we've been in business and we've had our ups and downs through the years since 98. In fact, we'll be hitting our 18th year together as a business. I mean, we've made some changes, but
that drives business too. You got to remember,
or 20 years,
saying that yes and helping these people out. One thing you could also say, when someone hits you with a deadline over and over again, and you like them as a client, you like them as a person, but they keep hitting you with that deadline and you keep turning it around, sooner, it's like Vegas. The odds are against you. Sooner or later, you're going to fail them.
That's true.
And it's not your fault. It's not the business owner's fault if you come in at the last minute every single time, and that one time you're going to blow the deadline. You can't beat yourself up to it because the machine went down, The paper just wants to jam. Who doesn't show up to work
That's
in your
life,
operation, and now you're one man down, and the unexpected happens.
We all are faced with some of those similarities in business as entrepreneurs. Richard taught me years ago not to be afraid to release a client, and I always have had a hard time with that.
Sometimes you just have to fire them. Like you said,
sometimes
the emotional connection just doesn't work.
Exactly.
And you can't get past the raw emotions to get into the business side of what you're trying to do for the client, and the client wants from you. So,
and every day is a new day. I mean, sometimes you feel like after a week's worth of work and you start realizing, I'm not on the path I want to be. I'm not, you got to reset your brain, and you got to come back in and say, hey, it's a new day. And I'm going to only do the best I can do and move forward from this point and do everything I can to make my clients happy.
That's all you can do.
Yep.
It really is. And well, I know that you want to make a lot of people here happy. You have an offer that you wanted to extend to them, so I'm going to let you go ahead and get that out there to all of the listeners.
If I'm extending an offer, if you want to order 500 business cards or 500 4x6 handout cards, postcards, I'll double it for free. For the price of 500, you get 1,000.
That's phenomenal.
What do they have to say when they email or call in?
Oh, just social radio. I heard you on
social radio. That's fine. I mean, just let you know and your team know when they're calling in. Hey, I want the social special.
And they got to say, forget about it.
Forget about it.
So I'm sorry, but we're booked up next month.
And for those of you that are listening, and I will have this, of course, on Social Radio Show. It is listed up on I'll put that on Facebook, but it is listed up on our SoSocialRadioShow.com page under the guest information. But you can give Rob Palumbo a call at Design Graphics Printing. It's 321-242-7766, or you can email him at rob@designgraphicsprinting.net. And again, I'll put all that information up. And if you go to designgraphicsprinting.net, you'll see all of his information right there.
Yep.
On his landing page.
Yep, that's all it is right now. I'm working on that. It's been a long time coming, but I got some friends helping me out with the website.
Well,
cool.
Sometimes that's all you need. I mean, we tell that to our clients. You don't need all the bells and whistles. You need to know what is going to work for you the best.
Yep.
Not everybody needs to be on Facebook. Not everybody needs to be on Twitter.
Yep.
You need to be where your clients are, or be in the type of groups that can help you find those clients.
I agree with that totally.
And referral marketing, we know, is wonderful too.
It definitely is.
Referral marketing is it.
That's where you get
mentioned BNI and
that's
all of
where
that.
you get your best accounts. Believe it or not, because if you try to pull an account out of someone else's mouth versus someone being referred over to you, they want to use somebody different versus let me lowball my prices so I could pull it away from a competitor. When you do that, everybody's losing. But when you get a referral, that's an account that's ready to make a move, ready to get good quality service. You want to hold on to every referral. You want to act on every referral you get your hands on. That's my opinion on that.
No, absolutely. Because if you don't, you're just letting your future of your business, any business, go away.
Best accounts ever.
Do you work within any specific industries as far as clients here locally, or is it variety?
No, just I've handled I want to send pictures to my grandson. I need 100,000 forms. It's the gamut.
So but that's why you're the best.
That's
why you're sitting here today.
And believe it or not, we're out of time.
Oh,
so did that go fast?
Yes.
We're down to the last
I'm
minute.
not done yet. I want to keep talking. I want to keep
You're just getting comfortable now.
It always happens. We had a guest out a few weeks ago, and he'd never been on radio, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. So
we got so much to talk about. Religion, politics, what happened?
No.
Well, I just want to give a shout out and thank you very much, Rob, for coming here.
Thank you for having me here. You guys are awesome.
Well, thank you. Our pleasure. And we just want to remind everyone to make sure go to designgraphicsprinting.net to get all of Rob's information. Make sure you take up on that offer. Again, 500 business cards or 500 4x6 postcards. He'll double that for free. What an offer. Love it. I wish I'd known that before I ordered my business cards this week.
Oops.
So everyone, make it a great social week, and we'll see you next Wednesday on
the So Social Radio Show. So, making it that great week, call Rob. Remember that. Call Rob.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.